Social influence and personality, looking at interpersonal factors influencing conformity. Social influence and conformity. In social psychology, social influence refers to the process by which a person's internal states, such as thoughts, feelings, and belief, or external actions are shaped by perceived presence or expectations of others, whether real or imagined. One fundamental mechanism of social influence is conformity, which denotes the psychological and social process through which individuals alter their attitudes or behaviours to align with those of a group, even when these differ from their private beliefs. Conformity, a stable feature of human social behaviour. Conformity was first systematically investigated by Solomon Asch, whose controlled experiments demonstrated that individuals often conform to group norms under social pressure. Over 70 years of research since Asch's pioneering work confirmed that conformity remains a robust and temporally stable social phenomenon. A meta-analysis of 125 Asch-type studies reported a weighted average effect size of R equals 0.89, indicating a strong and consistent tendency to conform across contexts. Recent replications continue to observe conformity rates comparable to those of the 1950s. Studies in digital and virtual settings likewise show that conformity persists online, albeit at slightly reduced rates. These findings demonstrate that conformity is a reliably measurable and enduring feature of human social behaviour. Conformity, a specific problem area. Conformity influences a broad range of social phenomena, from peer influence among adolescents to public compliance with social norms, e.g., mask wearing during the COVID-19 pandemic. Understanding why some individuals conform more than others has substantial social psychological relevance. While situational determinants of conformity are well established, dispositional factors remain comparatively understudied. This leaves a gap in explaining individual differences in conformity tendencies that extend beyond situational pressures. Conformity and personality, an overview. Personality refers to enduring individual differences in patterns of thinking, feeling, and behaviour. The five-factor model, comprising of openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism, offers a comprehensive framework for understanding and predicting behaviour. Previous research suggests that agreeableness and conscientiousness are positively related to conformity, as these traits emphasize cooperation, order, and social responsibility. Conversely, openness to experience predicts lower conformity due to an emphasis on creativity and independence. Findings for extroversion and neuroticism remain inconsistent, potentially varying across social contexts. Why this matters. Exploring how personality traits influence conformity can deepen our understanding of social influence. Identifying which traits promote or inhibit conformity helps clarify when individuals are more or less likely to yield social pressure. This integration of dispositional and situational perspectives offer a more comprehensive model of social behaviour. Research objective. The objective of the study is to investigate the relationship between conformity and personal traits, identifying which traits act as a risk or protective factor in determining conformity tendencies. Research question. How do high and low levels of each ocean personality trait predict individual differences in conformity tendencies? Agreeableness and conformity. Agreeableness reflects traits such as warmth, altruism, and cooperativeness. Individuals high in agreeableness are motivated to maintain interpersonal harmony and avoid conflict. Consequently, they are more likely to conform to social norms and group expectations as a means of preserving positive relationships and gaining social approval. Hypothesis 1. Higher agreeableness will predict stronger conformity tendencies, whereas lower agreeableness associated with competitiveness and skepticism will predict weaker conformity and greater resistance to group pressure. Conscientiousness and conformity. Conscientiousness involves a self-discipline of dutifulness and respect for social order. Conscientious individuals tend to comply with rules and social expectations because they value structure and reliability. Hypothesis 2. Higher conscientiousness will predict stronger conformity as these individuals internalize social norms and feel morally obligated to uphold them. Lower conscientiousness will predict weaker conformity, reflecting impulsivity and disregard for regulation. Openness to experience and conformity. Openness to experience captures intellectual curiosity, imagination, and preference for novelty. Individuals high in openness tend to challenge established conventions and seek independent thought. Hypothesis 3. Higher openness to experience will predict lower conformity as these individuals prefer autonomy and creative exploration. Lower openness will predict strong conformity due to preference for tradition, predictability, and conventional thinking. Extroversion and conformity. Extroversion encompasses sociability, assertiveness, and a desire for social engagement. Conformity among extroverts depends on situational contexts. In settings where social approval and belonging are valued, extroverts may conform to gain acceptance. However, in competitive or leadership contexts, the assertiveness may promote independence. Hypothesis 4. Extroversion will show a context-dependent relationship with conformity. Higher conformity when social approval is salient, and lower conformity when assertiveness or leadership is rewarded. Neuroticism and conformity. Neuroticism reflects emotional instability, anxiety, and fear of negative evaluation. Individuals high in neuroticism may conform as a strategy to avoid rejection and reduce social threat, whereas those low in neuroticism, being emotionally stable, experience less anxiety about social disapproval. Hypothesis 5. Higher neuroticism will predict greater conformity, particularly in situations involving social uncertainty or evaluative threat. Lower neuroticism will predict lower conformity due to reduced fear of negative judgment. Methodology design. The study will adopt a quantitative correlational cross-sectional design. This design allows for object measurement and statistical analysis for examining association between personality traits and conformity at one point in time. Methodology. Participants. Ideally, the study would use undergraduate university students as participants and have a minimum sample population size of 150 to 200 participants. This sample size is statistically adequate to detect medium effect sizes in correlational research while maintaining a sufficient statistical power. A medium effect size is chosen because past research shows that the link between personality traits and conformity is usually moderate rather than strong. Studies have reported correlations ranging from 0.20 to 0.35, indicating that personality influences conformity but does not fully determine it. This aligns with Cohen's guideline that medium effects represent meaningful relationships commonly observed in personality and social behavior research. University students are ideal participants because they are often in a developmental stage where social belonging and peer acceptance are highly influential, making conformity behaviors more noticeable and measurable. They frequently encounter new social environments and group norms, which naturally elicit both conformity and resistant dynamics. Demographically, university students are ideal because they represent a diverse and transitional population that includes a range of ages, cultural backgrounds, and personality differences, while maintaining relatively homogeneous and education level. This balance allows clear interpretation of psychological patterns. Sampling method. A non-probability convenient sampling method is used, where participants are selected based on their availability and willingness to participate. Students are recruited through university research participation systems and social media, providing a practical and efficient way to reach a large number of participants in a short time. This approach is appropriate because the study focuses on exploring relationships between variables rather than making population-wide generalizations. University students are both accessible and relevant to the research question, and this sampling method ensures efficient data collection while maintaining an adequate sample size for meaningful statistical analysis. Measures. Participants would complete 2 online measures: the Brugger et al. Conformity Scale and the IPIP NEO 120. Measures. Conformity Scale. The conformity scale consists of 33 items rated on a 5-point Likert scale. The scale is ideal because it measures conformity as a behavioral tendency rather than a self-evaluation, reducing bias from social desirability by asking participants about specific past behaviors that reflect conformity rather than asking them to rate their attitudes or self-perceptions. Because the items focus on what participants have actually done rather than how they want to be seen, the measure captures conformity more objectively and minimizes participants' tendency to respond in socially desirable ways. It uses the Reich modeling to produce an undimensional measurement of conformity tendencies. The scale demonstrates acceptable reliability and strong convergent validity, showing meaningful correlations with related constructs. Higher total scores indicate a stronger tendency toward conformity. Measures. IPIP NEO 120. This model is a public domain empirical validated measure of the 5-factor model and is widely used in personality research. It demonstrates high reliability and has been validated against the NEOPIR, ensuring consistency and comparability with established personality assessments. The inventory is also concise and accessible for online administration, making it suitable for an online study such as this one. Most importantly, this model captures both broad traits and specific facets, allowing detailed analysis of how personality relates to conformity. This model is also important to examine both domains and facets because they provide different levels of detail about personality traits and their relationship to conformity. Domains represent broad personality dimensions like agreeableness or conscientiousness, whereas facets capture narrower subtraits within each domain, e.g. modesty, altruism within agreeableness, or dutifulness and self-discipline with conscientiousness. Studying both levels allows researchers to identify which specific aspects of personality are most strongly associated with conformity, as facets within the same domain can influence conformity in different or even opposing ways. Discussion. Expected results. The general expectation is that the results will support the hypothesis. If supported, these findings would expand existing research on the relationship between individual differences and social influence by providing a way to explain why individuals vary in their susceptibilities to social norms. If not supported, this study will still provide insight into an understudied topic. Discussion applications. This expanded understanding has applications in educational, organizational, and digital contexts, where social pressure can affect group decisions, cooperation, and compliance behaviors. Limitations in future studies. The cross-sectional design precludes causal influence, and although the behavioral framing of the conformity scale mitigates self-report bias, social desirability cannot be fully eliminated. Future studies could use experimental manipulations of social pressure or longitudinal designs to examine development, stability, and personality conformity associations.